Who the hell is Declan Doyle? We're going out to Denver to find out. 28 years old. Zac Stevens is older than Declan Doyle, I'm assuming. I'm not exactly sure of that. Maybe he's just a professional-looking young man. But, hey, Zac, thanks for taking time here from DNVR. What can you tell Bears fans about this hire? Because it did sort of, not even sort of, it came out of nowhere kind of. 28 years old, and here he is, the Bears offensive coordinator.
Carm, he's on the Broncos staff and has been for 2 years. And for Broncos fans, this came out of nowhere. So I can't even imagine from another market how far this came out of left field. And, teachers tell you don't look at Wikipedia. You have to have other sources and stuff. But Wikipedia, we all know, is a fantastic source. It has everything, everyone on there. Except for Declan Doyle 2 days ago. Declan Doyle did not have a Wikipedia page. So just to put into perspective how far out of left field this was, but who Declan Doyle is. He's 28 years old, and you're right, Carm. I'm older than him. So thanks, Declan, for making me feel old right now. But he is the best way that I can sell him to you guys is he is the ultimate Sean Payton guy. Sean Payton loves Declan Doyle. You said it. He's 28 years old. He's been a tight ends coach in the NFL for 2 years, but before he was with the Broncos, he spent 4 years with the New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton noticed this kid when he was 22 years old, just as a student assistant coach at University of Iowa, and he brought him over from there, hired him at just 22 years old to be an offensive assistant, and he loved him so much that when he made the move to Denver, he hired him to be the tight ends coach. And you don't want to dig too deep into what the Broncos tight ends have done over the past 2 years. This is pretty much a hire of taking Sean Payton's word that this guy is a future star. And I'll tell you what, inside the Broncos building, that is how they view Declan Doyle, a future rising star in the NFL.
So at 22, for the record, I was at the University of Iowa, but I was terrified to graduate because I had no plan for my life versus Declan Doyle, who was on the fast track to being an offensive coordinator at 28. That's crazy. But when you get to the Iowa part, everyone's like, oh, was he the son of Chris Doyle, who was fired from the university because of racist allegations by the players and left, in an ugly way, and then Urban Meyer tried to hire him in Jacksonville. The guy had to resign. So this is his dad. Was this a talking point ever in Denver about his family history? Because it's become one here in Chicago when you make this level of a hire.
Yeah, and that's very fair. And you talk about that level of a hire, offensive coordinator, everything should be investigated there. When it's a tight ends coach that is so far down the chain for the Broncos, it actually was not a talking point. But obviously, that's how he got his foot in the door, you would imagine, at the University of Iowa. But what I'd feel more comfortable with for you guys is Sean Payton doesn't have that connection at all with his dad that I've been able to find. So I don't think this is related to that at all. I think it shows that, man, he grew up around football, and clearly he's a genius. And what I'll tell you is everyone in the Broncos building, when they just talk about Declan and not the family, they love him. So not only a football genius, but he is loved by his players. He is loved by the coaches and just has all the respect in the world from all of the coaches. And look, he's in an offensive room that is just stacked with older guys on the staff, guys with 25, 30 years of experience, and he has earned their trust and their appreciation. So I have to imagine that this hire came with a lot of support from the Broncos staff, giving him an opportunity because, Carm, he was not going to ever get an opportunity to move up on the Broncos staff. Not only do you have Sean Payton calling plays and essentially being the offensive coordinator, the Broncos have Joe Lombardi, who's Sean Payton's best friend, who's been in the NFL for 20 years, who's worked with Sean for over a decade. That's the offensive coordinator. Then you also have two kind of senior assistant staff members who have been with Sean for over a decade as well. You got a pass game coordinator with Johnny Morton, who's been with Sean for over a decade, been in the NFL for 25 years, so he's very experienced. And then you also have Pete Carmichael, who's been Sean's right-hand man for over a decade as well. Those three guys, Declan Doyle was never going to jump those guys in the Broncos building. So they realized that this kid is special, is talented, and he was never going to move up in the Broncos organization. So that's why the Broncos wanted to give him another opportunity and really put their support behind him, is because they saw a guy that they didn't want to hold back, and he was going nowhere with the Broncos.
And I guess, in a perfect world for the Bears in 3-4 years after Ben Johnson and Declan Doyle and company get the Bears to a level that the Bears fans have never seen before in the offense, then he can go on and be a head coach, the youngest in the NFL at 32. And this is going to be a hard one for you to answer, Zach, but what I wonder about is when you have somebody that young that you throw into a staff and there's older guys who think they should be an OC, and here's this young guy, like how is he going to sort of navigate through that and not be the guy on the staff that everyone looks at like he did that wrong, he did this wrong, I could do better. Any sense on how like he was able to become as beloved as he was within the Broncos community?
So, Carm, I do actually have one good piece of information for that for you. When I did digging this weekend to just find out how he was truly viewed, the one thing that just kept coming up was he's mature beyond his years. And, I mean, you have to be being an offensive coordinator at 28 years old, especially when your head coach is a first-time head coach. I mean, I think you guys would have expected, everyone in Chicago would have expected the Bears to go after a very experienced offensive coordinator, someone that can just kind of lead the offensive group while Ben Johnson calls plays. But that's clearly not what Declan Doyle is. So you're just going to have to rely on his maturity, and mature beyond his years is the phrase that I was told multiple times inside the Broncos building. But just to look at it realistically, this is a guy that has not had a lot of responsibility on the Broncos staff. Yes, he's been involved in game planning, but I just mentioned it. There's literally 4 guys at minimum that are above him, from Sean Payton, offensive coordinator, and those 2 offensive assistants that I mentioned that are doing more work and that are more responsible. So Declan has never been in a big leadership position right now, which is a tough sell. So I can understand how this hire for the Bears is being brought on. But I guess what you just have to trust is this is a guy that comes with a very, very strong recommendation from Sean Payton, and everything about him, from being a football mind to also a person, is only positive out here in his 2 years in Denver.
All right, Zach, as you go here, just a reminder, we're saving this tape. Do you think the Bears made the right hire here with Declan Doyle, that it'll be looked upon in 3 years as that was an amazing call by Ben Johnson, taking a swing on a 28-year-old?
Well, you either got the next Sean McVay, who's going to be a head coach at 31 years old, and it's going to look incredible, and Ben Johnson's going to look great, or you're going to look at someone and say, everyone saw that was just a crazy hire right away. I'm going to be positive. Let's go. Yeah, he's the next Sean McVay, and you guys got your guy. Hey, if Ben Johnson can't call plays for whatever reason, you might as well just give him a shot, because that's what the Bears are doing. It seems like they are just taking a swing on someone who's very talented here. And Carm, before I'm out, Bears fans do not look at the Broncos tight ends these past couple of years, because they've been the worst in the NFL. And on top of that, he hasn't been given any talent. I'll say that. But the Broncos tight ends, I mean, the Bears aren't hiring Declan Doyle because of Adam Troutman's career high 3 touchdowns that he had this past season.
No, but maybe aside of Bo Nix, perhaps he had a little bit of an impact there. How about that? We'll lean that way. Don't look at the tight ends. Look at the rookie quarterback.
There you go. Yep, he helped. The tight ends coach helped develop Bo Nix to who he is right now. I love that, Carm. And expect Caleb Williams to be Bo Nix next year.
Exactly. Well, hey, we dare to dream. Let's go, Caleb to Bo. That's the plan. Hey, Zach, appreciate you making time.
Of course. We'll see you next week at the Super Bowl.
We'll see you at the Super Bowl.
We all silly like the mayor.